Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Ms. Liz Reicherts, Head of U.S. Government Affairs at Siemens, to moderate a discussion on advanced manufacturing with Governor Matt Bevin of Kentucky and Governor Eric Holcomb of Indiana.
Awesome.
Well, good morning, or afternoon, I should say, as we head into lunch soon. So honored to be with you here today at SelectUSA for another year. And a quick thank you to the Department of Commerce and particularly SelectUSA for asking me to lead the discussion. Really appreciate it. And since we're here to highlight why companies should invest in the US, I thought it would be good for me to start first and just share with you Siemens' commitment before I turn to our esteemed governors. So just to share, Siemens has been in the US for 160 years. So we now have 50,000 employees that cut across all 50 states and into the territories. We have 60 manufacturing sites and R&D sites across the country. And that allows us to support our customers here. This is our largest market. And it also allows us to export about $5.5 billion worth of goods and services a year. And I should say, very importantly, we have a presence in both Indiana and Kentucky. So in this session, we're going to talk about advanced manufacturing with the governors. And I'm honored to be here with Governor Matt Bevin of Kentucky and Governor Eric Holcomb from Indiana. For those of you who don't know, there is a friendly sports rivalry between the two states when it comes to basketball and other sports. And I think you'll see that as well when it comes to their competitive nature on bringing economic investment into their state. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. But first, I want to share with you just some high-level statistics from both of their states in terms of manufacturing jobs. In Kentucky, international companies employ close to 130,000 people, and approximately 73,000 of those, so more than half, are in the manufacturing sector. In Indiana, international companies employ 193,000 people, and again, that's more than half, so approximately 112,000 jobs are in the manufacturing sector. So clearly, this is a very important topic for both governors. I also want to take a second to thank both governors for issuing open investment statements and recognizing the significant benefit that companies like those in the room today bring to the economies in their state, and for them both pledging to create an equal playing field or support for companies that are both headquartered internationally and headquartered in the US for equal opportunity in their markets. So thank you for that, both. So now let's get to why Kentucky and why Indiana, and I'll start with the first question. I thought I'd begin by inviting you to tell us a little bit about how manufacturing is important to your 21st century economies. And Governor Bevin, why don't I start with you?
Sure. Thank you so much. I want to thank every one of you who is here. Some of you came a long way. Some of you came from around the world to be here to look at the possibility. And you'll hear me brag about Kentucky, and you'll hear Governor Holcomb brag about Indiana. And there's good things about both of our states, but there's 50 incredible states, and your willingness to consider investing in this country is significant. And we're grateful to you for taking the time to be here. Kentucky really is the center of engineering and manufacturing excellence in the United States. And we border other states that could lay claim to the same thing, but just remember, it's always a little bit less than what you find in Kentucky. But in all seriousness, we are blessed to make a lot of wonderful products. The average state in America has about 8.5% of their workforce involved in manufacturing. In Kentucky, it's almost 13%. It's about 50% higher. Close to 13% of our workforce is involved in manufacturing. Per capita, we produce more automobiles than any state in the country. Aviation and aerospace, only Washington State exports more than does Kentucky. And why is that? In some measure, it's because we actually share some similarities. Where we're located, Kentucky is right in the middle of the United States. We have riverways and roadways and railways that transect through our state. We have the cheapest electricity prices in the eastern half of the United States. And these things are competitive advantages. They're helpful. We have an incredible workforce. We're investing hundreds of millions of dollars in training that workforce. We'll talk about that as this program goes on. But these are the things that we wrestle with. We are rivals, but we're friends. And when something good happens in Indiana, it's good for Kentucky, and I'm happy. We want the good things to happen in Kentucky, and that's good for Indiana. But at the end of the day, when you come and you invest in America, you invest in the center of America, you have access to markets, into workforce, into resources, into energy prices that you just don't find in other areas. And so this is one of the reasons why I think also UPS has their world shipping hub in Kentucky, and DHL has their North American shipping hub in Kentucky. And Amazon is now building their prime air shipping hub in Kentucky because it is the center of getting goods to market. So anything you might want to make that you want to sell to anyone in the world, Kentucky is a good place to look at as you consider that process.
Thank you, Governor Bevin. Governor Holcomb.
Well, I would just echo what Matt shared and pile on my praise for you making this investment to be here and to scout around and look around this beautiful country. I could just as easily brag about Kentucky as I could Indiana for the next 20 minutes. We are all in this together, and we're here to, we think regionally, quite frankly, and what is good for Kentucky is good for Indiana for sure. I would say in one word to answer your question, Liz, manufacturing is our destiny. And a state like Indiana, where manufacturing represents, we're #1 in the country in terms per capita in terms of manufacturing. Where will we be in terms of advanced manufacturing in year 2035? And so the decisions that we're making today are directly going to affect where we end up, not just tomorrow, but a decade from now and more. And so we are connecting people with the skills, quite frankly and bluntly, to prosper in that new economy, the economy that's with us today. And so that's all about allocating the right resources, the right funding for sure, but getting people connected to those skill sets that are required, that companies are craving. We know that, oftentimes the bottom line is we've got superior location and we've got great quality of life, a low cost of living, all that list that Governor Bevin just went through. Oftentimes it comes down to, do you have the workforce to supply our company to grow? We've got the cost of living. We've got the cost of doing business at a very low level. We can compete with anyone around the world. But it is, do we have the people? Fortunately, we do, and we're aligning our programs now to fill that pipeline so that when you plant your flag in Indiana or Kentucky, you're going to be able to grow at the speed that and scale that you determine.
Well, thank you for that, and that's a perfect segue into my next question. My CEO, Barb Humpton, will be here tomorrow on stage talking about workforce development. She oftentimes addresses the myth that robots and automation are out to take over U.S. manufacturing. Siemens is a world leader in industrial automation, and what we see is that automation is changing jobs, not replacing them. It's also creating a new type of job, and we need to get the workforce ready for that. One of the ways we're addressing this is through our apprenticeship programs that we've known and learned so much from our German heritage and brought here to the U.S. We now have those in 9 different states. Governor Holcomb, you've been appointed to the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board, so I know you're already working on some of these issues there, and I certainly know, Governor Bevin, you've talked a lot about what you're doing in Kentucky as well. So the question really is, can you talk about how you're addressing the changing workforce needs in order to lead the way when it comes to innovative technology and advanced manufacturing in your states?
Sure. I mean, in short measure, everything that's been said is true. What is the workforce of the future going to look like? What skills will they need to have? And what do we need to do today to be prepared? So one of the things we do in Kentucky is that when a company comes, we say, what do you need? And we connect companies with our university systems, with our technical schools, sometimes to develop specific curriculum, specific programs that the graduates of those programs will be skilled in the exact abilities that are needed by those companies. We've done this with domestic companies. We've done this with foreign companies that are coming for the first time to invest in North America. This is the type of thing that we will do with you. I say this with all respect to every governor everywhere, and I would challenge anybody to try to beat us at this. The one thing I can promise you about Kentucky is I don't believe there's a state in America that will get you to yes or no more quickly. And what I mean by that is not all people will be in Kentucky. You may be in Indiana. You might be in another state. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is helping you get to that decision point quickly through permitting and licensing, through understanding of what the possibility of working with local universities will be from a resource, from a workforce development, from a research standpoint. What kind of capabilities are there from an incentive standpoint? What type of workforce is already in existence? How many skilled workers do we have in the area that you need? We will help you get those answers quickly so that if Kentucky is not the right place, you can move to the place that is. These are things that we are investing in. I'll mention a couple things super quickly. Training people for jobs that exist. In Kentucky, we have more than 100,000 jobs available in 5 key areas. These are areas that are growing: healthcare, IT, construction trades, logistics, and advanced manufacturing. Those last two, advanced manufacturing and logistics, these affect the world that many of you are looking at. How do we make products? How do we get them to market? Excuse me. We are investing in those areas in programming that allows our students to have no cost to getting degrees and skills and certifications in those areas. For 2 years, whether they're 18 years old or 48 years old, it doesn't matter, any age, if you want to study one of those 5 areas, the state of Kentucky will pay the last dollar necessary for you to get the skills necessary to enter the workforce. That's important. It is important for you to know that if you come, you can find the people you need. There's a company that came recently from China, actually, investing significant money, hundreds of millions of dollars, in a paper mill in western Kentucky, a very rural community where there are not a lot of jobs. The company was concerned, will we find the people that we need? The community was concerned, will we ever find somebody to employ us? It has worked well. The company's looking at even expanding. They're now producing paper, hundreds of jobs, great connection, incredible reception of people from another country assimilating into a small community where they are thanked every time they go out in public. These kind of things are possible. They're possible in the middle of America. We take turns bragging on each other a little, but Indiana and Kentucky have a lot in common in this way. This is hardworking, good work ethic, quality of life, cost of living that is low, ability to assimilate quickly. These things are possible, but workforce development and investment is the responsibility of governors and of states.
Thank you, Governor.
Yeah, Liz, our general outlook is we tend to embrace the change that's coming, the automation, the globalization, the machine learning, the artificial intelligence. We don't look at that as an adversary. We look at that as an ally, and we don't deny the future. Right? We embrace it and realize all the opportunities that come with it, including a higher standard of living, a safer existence, so to speak. And so we, too, welcome that, and we have fostered a culture and climate in the state of Indiana that seeks to grow in those spaces and pioneer in the industries that Governor Bevin, just those 5 industries, those 5 sectors, we too are investing state dollars to make sure that if you're willing to put in the time, we'll put in the skin, we'll put in the money to make sure that you get credentialed to fill those high-wage, high-demand jobs. In the state of Indiana, we've got about 108,000 unfilled jobs right now. The good news is we have more people that we're skilling up to fill those jobs. And what we're seeing is whether it's folks who started college and quit, we're addressing that group. If it's folks who didn't get their high school diploma, we're addressing that group. If it happens to be folks who are incarcerated right now, we've built workforce development programs while we have their attention captured as well. They're getting the skills, and oftentimes they're getting a first chance, not a second chance. They're getting a first chance, more than hope. They're getting a job before they ever leave. And we've watched in the state of Indiana our recidivism rate go down by 4% already because of these workforce development programs, going from 37 to 33 and continuing to trend downward. So it starts with welcoming that change, being part of, we are the change agents right? And so we know all the good that can come with that pioneering in those fields, whether it be in aerospace at Rolls-Royce or GE Aviation, or the latest Saab coming into the state of Indiana, or our 6 auto OEMs, or the whole supply chain that comes with it, Allison Cummins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on and on, and we want to continue to make sure that it matures well into the next few decades.
Thank you so much for those comments. And we talked a little bit backstage as well in terms of the stigmatism in the United States around all students needing to go to 4-year colleges. And I think we've really started to do some excellent work in breaking those barriers to help to understand all these great opportunities in both of your states and across the United States in terms of either apprenticeships or 2-year certificates that can also allow you to have these great jobs that we've just talked about. I'm going to go back to the university piece for just a minute, because I think there's, you both have very strong university systems in your states. And as Siemens, we know the importance not only of the strong workforce, but the importance of that intersection between innovation and R&D and what that creates for the economies. And so I wonder if you can talk a little bit about the research and development opportunities and what you're doing, both with the universities there and other opportunities for these types of companies in your states.
We're blessed in Kentucky with some excellent engineering schools. So much of, we talk about robotics, we talk about automation, we talk about autonomous vehicles, we talk about electrification. All of these things come from the mind of somebody. All of these things have to be conceived of and then engineered and then produced. And there is a lot that goes into that, and so it is important that we have constant research and development going on. The top prize globally every year for electrical battery storage, energy storage, the Kahn Prize, is given at the University of Louisville every year. And indeed, if there's an industry that is changing quickly, for which the half-life is short, it is energy storage. How do we store the energy that is being produced increasingly in diverse ways? We have more energy than we've ever had in the world. How do we capture it? How do we store it? How do we transport it so that it can be used when and where it is being needed? In Kentucky, some of the greatest innovations are being developed on this front. The same as it relates to manufacturing. Autonomous vehicles. Bosch makes, makes some of Bosch is making some of the most advanced autonomous steering mobility systems in the country in Kentucky. The thing that you hear, this common theme, sometimes you have 2 different governors from different areas. If you look at where things are made in America, they're made in the middle part of the country. The automobiles, the aviation components, all of which require engineering, all of which require collaboration. The University of Louisville, the University of Kentucky, now increasingly even in our high schools with mechatronics programs, where we have this cross-pollination of different skills being taught in the high schools, apprenticeships, back to what we were talking about. More than 1,200 companies in Kentucky now with apprenticeship programs. Thousands of apprentices working now in Kentucky, earning money while they learn the skills that they will have for a lifetime. These things are happening now, but the collaboration, again, as we said, helping our universities to work with companies to provide these specific skills that they need. This is the greatest gift that we can provide to a company when they come to Kentucky.
Thank you, Governor. Governor?
Yeah, we're seeing this increasingly so as being the X factor. We're, as Governor Bevin said, we're blessed as well to have quite an elaborate network of world-class universities, Indiana University, Purdue University, Notre Dame, 32 privates, one, the biggest single community college system in America. And so we're in your backyard. And when companies are now, increasingly so, when companies are coming to Indiana, they're looking at those university towns or those college towns. There's no longer a moat around it. The faculty is accessible. Purdue University worked with on this latest deal that I mentioned with Saab. This wasn't even on the table in the beginning when Saab was looking around, but Purdue University stepped forward and said, you're going to have access to faculty, research development. This is a match made in heaven. We can get there faster together. And now that we've got that regionalized all over the state of Indiana, again, it's right in your backyard when you're seeking to grow. And so this is, as Matt said, this doesn't just start at the universities. This starts very early on. We're also increasingly seeing in both states private sector companies going in on the site of our public school corporation grounds. And so there's this seamless transition. Students are learning at a very early age what companies are craving, those skill sets, because they're part of those companies. And by the way, they see the stackable credentials, maybe a 4-year degree ultimately, it may be a 2-year degree, it may be the credentials. But they're filling those high-wage, high-demand jobs right now, and they get to, as I said earlier, they get to determine their destiny, how far they want to go.
Let me give one more quick example on this, too, that I was struck by as we were talking about companies like Saab and the Boeings and the Lockheed Martins and the Raytheons and the GEs and all these people that are involved in things related to aerospace. What increasingly for the producers of airplanes, there are thousands of planes on order in the world. As the world increasingly is moving by air, who are going to service those planes? What about the aviation mechanical technicians, the AMTs? How are these people going to be trained? Eastern Kentucky University has one of the greatest training programs in the country in this area. But now, rather than having it on a single campus, we're now extending that throughout Kentucky into our technical school system. We have 16 different campuses, and on some of them now, the very AMT training program needed for jobs that we know 20 years from now, we will have a shortage of 100,000 plus pilots, and then the people needed to service these planes. Going back to what we've both been saying, we have to think as governors, what's going to happen in 50 years, not in 5 or in 2? And these kind of investments are being made now in our states, in Kentucky certainly, as it relates to advanced manufacturing and the jobs that are going to be there in the future.
So as we think about the future, and there's been a lot of conversation for manufacturing over the years around infrastructure and what's needed for companies to come in and manufacture. Now let's look at it from today's lens and say physical infrastructure is really important to manufacturers. But as many companies invest in digital technologies, high-speed connectivity is now just as critical to running a successful manufacturing enterprise as the roads and the bridges and the highways. So how have you prioritized the development of broadband in your state to help facilitate the growth of manufacturing? And perhaps I'll start with you, Governor Holcomb, for this.
Well, it's a top priority. When we think of our Department of Transportation, we do think of roads and rail and connecting via flights and through our ports, our water system. But we also conduct commerce, obviously, through the internet and making sure that we're developing the whole state, one Indiana, not just in our urban areas, but unserved areas, making sure Hoosiers have access, companies and citizens have access to high-speed, affordable broadband internet service has been critically important. So we took, as a state, we took $100 million just recently, and we've created a grant program where we're partnering with local communities, making sure that we're ushering in the have-nots currently into that have category so that they can compete and conduct commerce anywhere in the world. And so this is critically important, and obviously as more come online, it's just going to help the whole state of Indiana. It'll feed off itself, so to speak, so that those rural areas aren't on the outside looking in anymore.
Great.
We have in Kentucky something called the Kentucky Wired Project. And this topic is important to every state. It's important to rural communities everywhere in the world, but it's easier to talk about than it is to do it. And getting the actual wire, if it's physical wire, or the connectivity, if it's satellite, or whatever the case might be, getting it into these remote communities is not easily done. But Kentucky is right now spending hundreds of millions of dollars to wire the entire state. We want, in a couple of years, to have the greatest percentage of our population with broadband connectivity of any state in the United States. It's not cheap, it costs a lot, it's difficult. Initially, the intent was to develop this parallel to what the private sector was doing. When I was elected, I said, that's a bad idea. I come from the private sector. I want to partner with people that are already doing it. So those that are already providing some variation of these services in Kentucky are now people we are partnering with. How can we make 1 + 1 equal more than 2, not have 1 + 1 competing with each other? This is not a zero-sum game. The solution is, to your point, is to make sure people have that connectivity. So in the eastern and western parts of our state, which are more rural, we are investing hundreds of millions of dollars to bring broadband, the trunk into the state, the middle mile into the communities, and ultimately from that middle mile, local carriers will bring that into people's businesses and homes. And that's happening right now. Within the next 2 years, this should be complete.
Fantastic. So thinking about everything we've talked about and recognizing we want everybody to know what the great opportunities are to come in and be new investors, can you talk about the other half of that, which is a really important piece, which is how do you retain these companies, and what are you doing once you get these companies into your state to ensure that that relationship is continued to be fostered and that there is recognition about the importance of them continuing to reinvest?
Well, this is not just transactional. This is a forever commitment on both sides of the table when we're speaking to companies around the world, and we serve as a concierge beyond that ribbon cutting or beyond that groundbreaking, making sure that whatever the company's needs are, that the state is responsive and receptive to addressing those needs. And so we fully realize that our communities need to be a great place to live, work, and play, and that oftentimes is a box that needs to be checked, and we want to make sure that we ease any anxiety or any tension when you're moving from anywhere around the world to the state of Indiana or to our region. And so that outlook, measuring everything, understanding that things will change, the global marketplace changes, orders change, and how do we supply from an HR perspective all the way to elderly care for employees, or good schools that your children might want to go to. So this is not just a tax and regulatory, low cost of living, low cost of doing business equation. This is all the above.
Thank you.
Your question is a good one, because I think sometimes we get so busy attracting outside investment, we forget about the people that are there. The one commitment I will make to you, and in fact, we would encourage you, if you did come to Kentucky, we'll put you in touch with companies that have been there for a long time, including some who may have come from your country and invested in our state. We invest for the long haul alongside, through incentives and through support, through encouragement, through coming alongside and saying, what can we do? I'm a business person. My prior job, as I said, was not in government. And so I understand as a business person, not all business is good business. It's not always a given that one place is the right place for everybody. But for somebody who has taken the time to invest capital, to employ people, has put roots down, those are the companies that we want to appreciate and come alongside even more than any other. Why should we not invest those that are already there? So of course we want you to come, and we will help you to get those roots in the ground. But we won't leave you. We will continue to work alongside of you and help you to make those investments on an ongoing basis as well. I'm grateful for the fact that so many of the companies in Kentucky have continued to expand, and now we have, again, well over 145,000 people that work in Kentucky, that work for foreign-owned companies.
Well, we have very few minutes left. So what I'd love to do is ask the remaining question, 2 parts. The first piece is, what's the one last thing you want to make sure this audience knows about your state as they think about investing? And then the second piece is, who's going to win next year when we're thinking about the basketball tournaments between the 2 states?
That one's easy, so, I mean, we don't even need to go there to Kentucky. But we don't actually play against each other. I'll let you speak first. We're going to dust that off.
Well, what I'd hope that everyone that has listened to this understands that both states, Indiana, I'll speak for proudly, is a state that's not just open for business, but wants to grow with you together and pioneer into the future. And of course, we have a superior location. We're the crossroads of America. We're within 70% of the nation's population in a 12-hour drive. Of course, we're making record investments into our infrastructure program to even enhance that further. We have a very attractive, one of the strongest economies in the nation. Our tax and regulatory system is very attractive for growth. A low cost of, as I mentioned, doing business, a low cost of living. We have the ability to supply you with the workforce that you need to grow at a very early age throughout the entire process through our lifelong learning pathway programs that are personalized to your company. We are a great place to live, work, and play, as I mentioned. We have a lot of, we'll be hosting the NBA All-Star Game. We're hosting a national college football championship. We've done the Super Bowl. We have an Indy 500 every year, which is the size of a Super Bowl every single year. We were together at that this year with 300,000+ of our closest friends internationally. And then, of course, as Matt said earlier, we also, I jokingly sometimes say, the answer is yes. What was the question? And we make sure that we are measuring everything, that we can get to that place of completion. And it's not just a transaction. This is us growing together at the scale and speed that your business demands. So welcome to host every single one of you in the state of Indiana. There is a direct flight.
I'll say this. It's interesting about this issue. So many of you have investments already in America. Some of you are thinking about it for the first time. There's so much geopolitical uncertainty right now, so much concern in the world. Where do you go to get a return on your investment? Where is there security of capital? Where is there protection of intellectual property? Where is there workforce? Where is there the rule of law? These are questions you ask yourselves. Well, we're blessed to live in North America where there's an abundance of these. And in the middle of North America is the United States. And in the middle of the United States are states like Kentucky. Kentucky is right in the center of all the things that the world is looking for, especially as it relates to manufacturing. We already manufacture, as I said earlier, and engineer some of the finest products in the world. Each of the last 4 years, we have set new records of export. We have exported every year more products to the world than ever before. The logistics hubs of UPS, DHL, and Amazon, all in Kentucky, as I mentioned earlier. Your ability to get your products to the world exists nowhere better than in Kentucky. I would encourage you to come and see this part of the country. I would encourage you to come to America. We are doing something between our states that very few states do, and that is our economic development teams are working together. We sometimes compete together for an opportunity for the region where we will put incentives from both states together. These are conversations we are already having. America is blessed with many things that the world is looking for. We're fortunate to be here. We're fortunate to be governors in states that are right there in the center. And with the rivers that exist where you can put things on a river in Kentucky and take it to any port in the world without taking it off of that vessel. Those things are possible in the middle of America. Anything overnight by plane to anywhere, a package of any size can be done from Kentucky. These things are happening right now. The world is looking for safe places for capital. Kentucky is an incredible place. The beautiful seasons, we have 4 seasons, none are too extreme. The topography is good, the quality of life is good. As I said, the energy costs are low. These things make it an attractive place to live. We share a similar work ethic in the Midwest. This graciousness of the people, but this willingness to work hard in ways that you don't find in a lot of places. The final thing I'll say is this. If you decide to come to America, we would be delighted if you come and look at our states, but there are many good states. And I will say this, if you come to both Indiana and Kentucky, and you really can't decide, the answer is Kentucky. That's all I'll say. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you both to Governor Holcomb and to Governor Bevin. It's been a great discussion, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of SelectUSA. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you, man. Good job, brother. Thanks, man.